my God, scared the shit out of me. Okay. All right, we're gonna get started. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are talking about the basics of communication today, and I'm very happy to be here with you. So, this is a really important topic. I'm happy to be sharing it with you all today. I have this really fun rapport with my one-on-one clients that the timing of the lessons I give are always delivered at the perfect time, kind of a divine timing, if you will. So I hope that is your case today. I hope this is coming to you and will apply to a very specific circumstance in your life that will help you and help you understand your relationships a little bit better. So on this call, I'm going to tell you why first we're also disconnected. I'm going to tell you that through a story about my dog. It'll make sense, I promise. And then I'm going to teach you exactly how to communicate so you leave today knowing the basics of how to do this. And then at the very end, I'm going to tell you why life coaching can help you master your communication. It can help you connect and feel connected with everyone, everything, every day. Very magical. So you never have to feel frustrated or alone or disconnected again, because those are pretty useless emotions. I'm all about welcoming in negative emotion that serves us, but those emotions are pointless. Let's get rid of them if we can. So let's begin. And like I said, I'm going to start with a story today. So if you have a pet, then you know how magical it is to have that kind of very unique connection. We connect with pets or just animals in general so much easier than we do with humans. And I just think I've always thought that was really interesting. So no matter the animal, they have this incredible way of showing us what unconditional love and acceptance really looks like, and feels like, I should say. They're so loyal and trusting and faithful. They are just this incredible energy. They give us such a simple blueprint for how to optimize our own relationships, right? If I copy and pasted how I treated my dog to every human, I would be an incredible human. But anyway, I have the most amazing dog. That's what everyone says. But my dog's name is Sunny, and she's an Australian Shepherd, and she is very brilliant, very smart. She's super sweet, super soft. And even though I'll say she's the most perfect angel who could do no wrong, the truth is she has nipped at people, she's lunged, she barks about everything. She doesn't get along with other dogs. She can, sometimes be naughty. And I feel like I have no control over her. That's how I felt. That's what I would tell myself. I would say, I'm doing a terrible job. I'm not a good dog mom. She's 7 now, which is kind of older for dogs. I mean, if you times 7 by 7 in dog years, that's 49. So she's old for a dog. And I remember a long time ago when she was probably 3 years old, I just decided that there was no way to fix this. I just accepted her behavior. I was like, you can't change this. I'm going to just work around it and deal with it. So that's what I did. But the truth is, I really hated her bad behavior. I thought it was the most frustrating thing. And I would rack my brain constantly trying to figure out where I went wrong or where she went wrong or why she was the way she was. And I'd spend my time trying to guess how I might fix the problem. But nothing ever changed, ever. I was just spinning my energy, not solving a problem. So soon after, I pretty much gave up entirely. I was like, I'll just put her away if people come over, and I'll just avoid other people if I take her out to the park. And it was kind of sad. I was just like, whatever, it is what it is. Cut 2 years later, I meet Steven, right? He is my husband now. And I was starting to realize a few months in, if I wanted to eventually live with both my pet and my future partner, which I absolutely did, might be a shock, I'd have to figure out a way to change her behavior, right? I was kind of running into a trap there. So otherwise, if I didn't, she would attack him or harass him constantly, or she would have to go live with my mom or some other situation. And both of those options were unacceptable to me. I was like, no way. So I decided to see if there might be another solution. Now, mind you, I thought I had tried everything. I think I'm pretty smart. And so up until this point, I was pretty certain it was hopeless. I was like, in my professional dog diagnosis, I know that this is hopeless. So I was acting arrogantly from this place of assuming I held all knowledge and wisdom on dog behavior. And this was wrong. It wasn't true. I didn't have all the knowledge. I had no idea. So here's what I had done. These are all the things I tried. I took her to puppy training. That didn't go well. Not so good. I'd taken her to a very expensive dog behaviorist when her behavior started going bad. And you would think that would have solved the problem, but I honestly think it made it worse, which is actually super annoying. We gave her all the drugs that the vet recommended. We tried several different kinds. It's kind of fucked up now that I think about it. CBD was probably the closest thing, but didn't do anything. But then we also did like antidepressants. We did trazodone, which is basically a tranquilizer. Like it's just it none of it helped her calm down. None of it helped her behavior. None of it worked or solved the real problem. It just made her anxious and all woozy and depressed. Like it was just so, it kind of pisses me off when I think about how I thought those solutions would do the thing when they were all unfounded and all off base, like way off base. So when I went back to the drawing board years later for one last Hail Mary, I was feeling like it would take a holy kind of miracle to make this work because I had tried so many things and nothing worked. So I was feeling like it was impossible, you know, until I found out what I had thought the problem was actually not the problem at all. And here's where I want you to listen. So you think I'm talking about the dog here, but there's layers to this. So at the time, I thought her behavior was the problem. And you'll never find the right answer to anything if you're looking at the wrong place for the problem, right? If you're trying to solve a problem in the wrong place, you'll never find the answer. That's just like Science 101. If Science 101 was a course, I'm sure they would say that. And so I thought the problem originated in her, right? And so it had to be solved in her. And that felt really terrible for me because I had no control over her. And this happens all the time in relationships. So I want you to really hear this. I thought the problem was in her. And so I tried to control her and it felt awful. And it led me to kind of crazy behaviors that looking back, I'm like, what was I thinking? That was insane. But it was because I thought she was just deciding to be aggressive around me, to be reactive, to be anxious, to do all these things to either piss me off or because it was just her personality and her doggy soul archetype, right? I don't know her astrology chart. It could say she's aggressive. These were all the places my mind went to try to solve this problem. I thought she was responsible for learning how to be a confident dog around humans or around other dogs, right? I thought it was her job to figure all that out and behave how I wanted her to behave. I thought she had failed as a dog, right? But I was so wrong. The problem was that I, as her dog parent, did not know how to communicate with her. I, as her dog parent, did not trust her or myself, right? I took her into situations that triggered her nervousness. And since I didn't know how to handle it, she did not trust me. And so that's what someone came around and finally told me, right? They told me she stopped trusting me a long time ago. I didn't know how to understand what she was trying to tell me. I didn't know how to support her. I didn't know how to help her. I didn't know how to make her feel safe. So of course her behavior spiraled. I was the problem. This dog was totally fine and normal. She could have gone places and done things, but since I was right there by her side being the problem and having that lack of trust and being the root cause of it, she couldn't do anything but act out of fear, right? Is this making sense? So if I'm completely blindfolded from whatever she is trying to tell me, connection and effective communication becomes impossible. And it is entirely the same with humans. Okay? If we blindfold ourselves from what people are trying to tell us and communicate to us, connection and effective communication becomes impossible. It creates disconnection, like severely. So instead of realizing what the real problem was all that time and solving for that right away and getting to work on that, instead of trying to nurture her trust in me and mine in her and learn how to communicate with her directly, I spent the next several years making that all so much worse, right? Not only giving up, but like making it worse at the same time. Because since I didn't know what the real problem was, I started trying to force her to change in order to make myself feel better, right? I did not even try to understand her. That didn't even cross my mind. Like, maybe I should understand what she's thinking. I didn't know you could do that. And I want to note how obvious and like glaringly, like you would think it'd be so simple for us to see stuff like this, but we don't. We have human brains that constantly have thought errors. So I didn't try to understand her. I didn't validate her, support her, make her feel safe. It wasn't even on my radar. And it's not on so many people's radars in their communication with humans. So, of course, hindsight is super crystal clear, but when you don't have the awareness you need to make things simple and easy, everything feels impossible. Everything feels hard. So today I want to give you everything you need so you can avoid this human or dog, it could be your dog, relationship hazard of trying to use force, control, and abdication of responsibility when we're trying to communicate. That blocks communication, and we're going to talk about that today. So first, we've got to talk about the definition of disconnection. Because this is the problem. And when we don't know what the problem is or where the problem is, we can't solve it. So let's look at the problem, like really look at it, like give it a hard, good look. Okay, so disconnection is the result of trying to force a behavior change in someone or something or some group outside of you in order to make yourself feel better. All right, I want you to see that the root of disconnection is a self-focused, self-motivated behavior, right? It's not really thinking about the other person, it's thinking out for number one, okay? So it causes a threat defense response. This is what disconnection breeds. And this response is entirely unproductive in any relationship, spanning human to animal to alien. It is entirely unproductive. So it's literally only useful if you're being chased by a tiger or a murderer. This is the only time threat defense is cool, if you're actually being attacked. But our brain registers a conversation about who didn't take the trash out as a threat defense response. And it's not that. That's just the trash. So we want to remove this natural response from our relationships because it's not useful and it's just wasting our energy. So humans everywhere are using this threat, disconnect as a viable tactic with the people they love more than anything. And I want you all to see how that causes so much pain and it only deepens disconnection. It takes you farther away than what you're trying to do. So we have to notice how we use this tactic and where we use it and why we use it and how we use it and stop choosing to use it. So can you see here how disconnection is a result of being self-focused? You want to feel better. I wanted to feel better because my dog's anxiety and nervousness made me feel frustrated. So I started doing crazy shit, trying to control a sweet, innocent animal that is kind of scared of me, honestly. She's scared of me. She's like, I don't know how to act around you. And I want you to see how whoever you're feeling disconnected from, probably thinking the same thing, right? Why is this person trying to control me? I don't really get what their motives are. This feels kind of scary. So it's a result of assuming we're not the problem. This blows my mind. I learned it all with humans. I was like, oh, I get this. And then I totally just went and did it with my dog. So human brains, it's okay. We're going to talk about that in a second. But we automatically assume we could never be the problem. We're so smart. But you guys, sometimes we are the problem. And that's okay. When you're solving for a connection you truly want to nurture and grow, self-focus leads us so astray, so far off track. We can't be so self-focused if we really want to connect. And it sounds a little opposite there, but I'm telling you. Okay, so I wanted to use this story about Sunny to show you how often this happens in the human mind, right? It's a brain error, a thought error. And as you can see, it happens in a relationship with anything, not just humans. It applies all the same. It can be with money. It can be about your future or your past. It can be about how you spend your time. These are all relationships we have that we just think they're some ephemeral dust. But these are conscious relationships we're either nurturing or being disconnected from. So it doesn't surprise me this happened with my dog because, like I said, this was a pattern I had, especially in romantic partnerships, especially with my family members, kind of across the board. This is how I operated. I was like, you better change so I can feel better. You better do it now. And it comes off so icky. It feels terrible for everyone involved. So now I'm aware of the problem. Now I'm like super aware after this recent example with my dog. And when you have awareness, you have control. And that's what coaching does, is it gives you the awareness you need to regain control. Because disconnection never originates where we think it does. Usually the problem is never where we think it is. Why? Where do we always think it originates? All problems outside of us, right? Always in the other person, in the government, right? Anything that's not us. That's where the problem is originating from. Let me tell you about my problem. It's over here in that person, right? It's my boss's fault. I'm so disconnected at work because of my boss or this coworker. Or it's my husband's fault. I'm so miserable. I'm so frustrated and alone because it's all his fault, right? Or in my case, it's my dog's fault. I'm so entirely frustrated and enraged, right? It's her responsibility to fix my frustration. So that's where we're starting. But disconnection can only ever originate in your mind, right? It's created in your mind and it causes us to be defensive, forceful, and controlling assholes. And that just worsens the original problem in the first place. So whenever we believe something outside of us needs to be solved for or changed, and that the only thing that will make us feel better is when we finally have this like evil villain type of control over someone else, we make the most fundamental human error, right? We start to believe that things outside of us causes our emotions. This is a big life suck. This is a big cause of suffering. Okay, so let's talk about connection, because if we create our emotion, right, not the people outside of us as much as, well, actually, we don't want that at all. Our brain thinks we do, but that's just a way to avoid responsibility. Connection is an emotion, and emotions are created by our thoughts. And we are responsible for choosing our thoughts every day. So if that's the goal, if connection is the goal, and if it's within our control and we can feel it any time, then connection is the same thing as communication. right? Our ability to connect is our ability to communicate. So when our brain is duped into believing it is true, right? Other people do cause our emotions. We go off and use insane methods, right? Like I said, we're using force, manipulation, willpower, attack, passive aggressiveness, threat, the silent treatment, right? All these crazy things in an attempt to change someone's behavior. So we'll do all this stuff. We'll throw money at problems before we will be willing to see where the real issue is, right? We'll be like, you handle this because it's definitely not my fault. Or we'll hope the pills do it. Like I went through all the examples of this, but I want you to see how fruitless it was when I wasn't solving where the problem was. I was like, oh, I hope a pill fixes this. Like I'm totally guilty of that. Humans do it all the time. I hope this pill or this martini or this new outfit will fix what I'm feeling. But the feeling always remains, right? The problem wasn't solved. So how could any of these shitty methods produce anything other than shitty results? Nothing will be different. Nothing will become connected or effectively communicated until you do something differently, until you see things in a different way, and then it's safe for you to do so. Okay. So for years, I've been using all the shitty methods, creating worsening problems. And not only was I disconnected for years from the people I loved, but I ultimately led me to be disconnected from my dog. Like you would think that's our one safe to feel like loyalty and connection, and but no, our brain will just like project that shit on anything it can. So the last thing I wanted was to feel disconnected from my dog. I would stew. I would get so mad on walks when she would act out or lunge at another dog. I would start to blame her for everything. And it wasn't even in my radar that I could be the one with a problem, because all the evidence my brain saw was like, look, she's barking, she's nipping, she's doing this. And this is so huge, you guys. Do you know how many of us are out here not taking responsibility for the disconnect and the problems that are originating from ourselves? Yes, dogs lunge, dogs bark and nip, but what are we doing? We have to learn how to take responsibility. We want to exit the victim mode. We don't want to be here. It's not a cool place. I know, I've been there. I've like set up home for several years. And now that I'm out of it, I'm like, oh, we got to get y'all out of there, because there's nothing good in there for us. There is just so much added unnecessary suffering to life that is already hard about half the time. We don't want to make it extra hard. I was making it extra hard. And I think there's a chance you guys are too. So trust me, even though I didn't know yet, I wanted someone to come tell me, hey, nothing's wrong with your dog at all. Like, you just don't know how to communicate with her. And she doesn't trust you for shit. But this is a really easy fix, because I can teach you how to communicate with your dog if you're willing to learn how it works. I'm not kidding. I found a brilliant dog trainer who told me all of this. Like, if someone had told me that 6 years ago, I may not have heard it because my brain was so focused on me not being the problem. But when I was desperate enough to hear it and I needed a solution, and when she told me, hey, you're the problem, nothing's wrong with your dog, I just about fell off of the earth. I was all at once like rejoicing, excited, relieved, but also guilty and like ashamed for not realizing that sooner. And so it's a lot to take in. Like, oops, I thought I was perfect. This is shocking. But if you're a fellow perfectionist, if you're a person who really thinks you're like trying so hard to do everything right, it's totally okay. We all tend to think we can do no wrong sometimes. Perfect humans who never do any wrong they just don't exist. That doesn't exist. And it would suck if they did. We wouldn't want to be their friend. We'd be like, this isn't cool because I'm human and I mess up sometimes and you never do. And I don't know how to talk to you. So we don't want that. Perfection causes arrogance and unnecessary suffering that we don't want. okay? I would much rather be a human who can own up and be like, oh shit, I made a mistake. I'm ready to learn how to grow from it, right? I'd rather take that blow of hearing I'm wrong 100 more times than keep living in that denial that nothing's ever my fault. Like nothing in my situation with Sunny was my fault. I'd rather be told, hey, you're wrong and fix it. Like, oh, thank God I'm wrong. I just want an answer, right? And so we really want to evaluate this in our own relationships because there is definitely a place in your life and everyone's life where we're doing this. I know it because we all have the same brain, same model, same programming. So sometimes things are our fault. And I want you to know that that's totally normal and okay and healthy. And it doesn't mean anything bad about you. And you're amazing and smart and beautiful and complicated. And sometimes things are our fault. And that's okay. Okay. So we don't want to use this to shame ourselves. We don't want to, right? We don't want to expect perfection anymore. It's just a shitty way to live. We just want to know, hey, I'm an awesome, balanced human having the full experience. And I love to learn from my mistakes and move forward, right? That is what creates our confidence and our ability to trust and connect. So I was ready to own up to what I had done wrong, right? Right? It's not about blame here. I just wanted to help my dog and help myself. I wanted to understand her. And that mattered far more to me than my pride. I was like, my bad. Okay, let's move on. I can do better. I know I can do better. I know I'm eager to learn. It didn't matter that she was 7, right? People always say, can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I don't buy into that stuff. It's never too late to change, right? I believed in both of us. I believed in everyone in the world. I was like, we can all do this. It was very exciting time in my life. So I invested the money, the time into rebuilding our connection, into learning how to communicate with her. And it was extremely rewarding to build that trust and to see such incredible and fast results that came from knowing the basics of communicating, right? It was so funny how so much I learned about Sunny. Like, obviously, dogs have a language that I don't understand. Like, they're always doing these clues, which is really fascinating to learn about. Sarah Cat is the trainer. If you guys ever need one, she is incredible. But so much of what's behind their meanings of their dog body language is basically like, hey, are you safe? Are you calm? I'm not a threat. I'm not a threat, right? I'm safe. Here's how I can show you I'm safe. And then like rewarding the dog every time they self-soothe. And as a life coach, I'm like, I literally do this for humans. And I had to deal with the shame that I couldn't do it for my own dog, but that's a different story. But it's the same, right? We need to learn how to self-soothe. We need to learn how to communicate. Hey, I'm not a threat. Hey, let me open up and talk to you. And then let me reward you and each other for an awesome connection, for a job well done. So kind of got off track there, but it is so fascinating because it's the same for humans and humans are making so many mistakes. Okay, so her behavior changed extremely drastically. My husband is now her favorite person in the world. She adores him. And so we want to know whenever anyone feels understood, supported, validated, and safe, love becomes the only natural result, right? We all want to love each other better. We all can love each other better. This is a universal fact. We have it in us. But if we feel threatened, if we feel defensive, we'll never feel safe enough to open up. We'll never feel safe enough to have space for honest communication and connection. So if we never learn how to understand and support each other or ourselves, what are we going to do? Right? We're going to keep being super shitty to each other. We're going to keep using shitty tactics. We're going to stay in this threat defense response. And none of this change is possible if you try to solve the problem in the wrong place. Okay? So in learning the basics of communicating, we have to start by seeing that we are all trying to solve our problems in the wrong place, in the places we don't have any control. We'll never have control. And we want to stop doing that. Very kindly tell yourself, please stop doing that. That's not where we solve our problems. And the good news is where we solve our problem, we have complete control. Let me show you what I mean. Okay. So let's look at communication. It means to earnestly try to understand, validate, and support someone or something, including yourself. Okay, so I put earnestly here because we can give some good lip service, right? We can say some shit, but if it's not earnest, if it's not coming from our soul, people can sniff out your manipulation from a mile away. I wish people could recognize how loud our energy is when you learn how to tune into it. Like, as a person who's like an energy wizard, I've just always been extra sensitive, which is now my superpower. I can sniff out someone's energy or like pretension, or they're saying words that don't match what they're feeling. I'm just like, is anyone buying this? Like, I don't buy it. And so earnestly try to understand the other person, right? You can see how this is connection focus, not self focus. We want to understand. We want to be pulled in and be like, you tell me, how can I support you? How can I be there for you? Instead of, you need to change and make me feel better because I'm uncomfortable. Like, do you feel that difference? Oh, I do. Shivers remembering how I used to live and how I used to accept other people to treat me. I'm just like, no, not around for it anymore. So connection is the natural result when this is done effectively. It is the only result. Connection is what we want. So now that we know disconnection does not work, we have to understand what does work. And communication cannot and will not let you enter into its heavenly gates until you recognize that you are responsible for your emotions, okay? It's never anyone else's job to make you feel better. And so this can be understood intellectually and just like passed over emotionally, which means you don't have granted access to communication. You can understand something intellectually and not get it emotionally. And this is one of those things that if you don't take the time and effort and invest in learning this, it's just going to be something it's just going to make you frustrated. Like, okay, I'm not responsible for my emotions, but then you're going to see everywhere how you still believe other things are responsible for your emotions. So don't bother even trying to communicate with someone unless you're willing to integrate this, unless you're willing to be about it, live about it, be an example of how you are responsible for your emotions. You create them with the thoughts you choose. So you may be moving your mouth, making sounds, but you're talking to someone with the intention to communicate. But again, if any part of you thinks they are responsible for how you feel, you're not communicating and connecting. You're probably doing what we were just talking about, controlling, forcing, manipulating. You know the difference because it doesn't feel good. One feels amazing. One pulls you in. One is selfless and expansive and rewarding. One feels like shit. One feels like out of control, disempowered, awful. So should be pretty obvious. Okay, I need water. The next step is learning how to live that truth, right? It's hard to change sometimes. It's hard to rewire, reverse our ways of thinking. And so this does take time. But living from a place of connection, when you're connected to yourself finally, means learning how to be an emotional adult. And that means learning how to spot whenever you are the problem. Learning how to be like, whoop, I see I wanted to blame you. I'm going to take that responsibility back. I'm going to handle it. I'm an emotional adult, right? I'm an authority of what I think and feel. And I realize this isn't a bad thing. It's not about blame at all. I'm not blaming me. I'm not trying to blame you. It's about responsibility. And that's what an emotional adult does. They take full responsibility. I did a free training on responsibility versus blame months ago, so I highly suggest you scroll back and watch it if you haven't, or rewatch it, because that's I think I gave you everything for becoming an emotional adult in that video. So being able to spot your own errors, right? These are just thought errors. These are just the source of our problems in our mind. It's an awesome thing. It's such a fun thing once you get the hang of it, because it means you can control yourself. You can do something to fix anything. You're never left like out of luck. You're never frustrated. You're never wasting time in useless negative emotion. You're just like, okay, this is what I've got. Let's move forward. So I'm going to give you an example here. And I'm going to flip this now because I wrote it out for you. Okay, so this is a real example from one of my clients. She came to me and told me her husband is absolutely to blame, right, for their marriage not going so well. And she had all these reasons. She said, I've tried everything. I've said everything I could. I'm willing to do anything, but he keeps being so short, cold, and distant, right? He causes the disconnection, not her. And so she's starting to fear, because of this, their marriage is now in jeopardy, right? She's scared. She's got kids. She doesn't want to be alone. And so this makes her even more eager to fix this problem, fix this uncomfortable emotion that she's creating within herself. So when I ask her, what do you do when you believe it's her husband's fault? She says, well, I'm really hypercritical of what he does. I try to control what he does. I set all these expectations for what I want him to do, and he never does it. She says she mirrors back the same negative behavior that she's so upset about. She's like, I'm actually like being petty and trying to do exactly what he's doing to me to see how it feels for him, right? Very, very like emotional childhood behavior. She blames him for how she's feeling emotionally. So she's making him responsible for her emotional well-being, her sense of security, and her future, and whatever is in her future, right? Now, I bet if you were chatting with a girlfriend, they would be all up in your business, right? Offering their unsolicited advice like, oh, honey, unacceptable. He needs to change. He needs to act up. He better realize what he's got. And that's why I'm a coach. You will not find that with me, because that is not how it works. Unfortunately, the drama is juicy, but not in the coaching realm. I'm just going to deliver you the tea, and you get to decide what to do with it. So as her coach, I get to show her the truth. That is my job. I had to teach her that it is impossible for him to make her feel better. No matter what he did or didn't do, never will it be possible for him to do that. That is not where the problem is originating here. And so I put it up here so I can show you where it is originating, which is in her mind, right? It's in her belief that what he does or doesn't do creates how she feels. That's not true. She did not like to hear this. She was not eager to believe me. She fought me on this, and that's okay. That's what we do. I'm prepared to argue with your brain. Her brain had collected so much evidence in her life that he did in fact cause her emotions. It had been taking a tally for years, right? How she got so angry when he wouldn't answer the phone, or how she got so scared when he started pulling away, stopped saying, I love you, and stopped showing affection like he used to. And so then she'd think back to when he was talkative, when he was affectionate. And she said she felt so great. So see, he caused her feelings there too. And so him not answering the phone or calling her back is not what makes her angry, right? What makes her angry is trying to control him and what he does in order to make herself feel better. That's what makes her feel angry. Can you see the difference there? Her trying to force him to say, I love you, or to be affectionate when he doesn't want to, is actually what makes her feel so scared. She's doing some scary shit. She's trying to control someone's brain without their permission. That feels scary. It's not actually that he's not saying, I love you. It's what she's making his behavior mean in her brain. So this is what we do in a coaching call. We separate out the facts. Brains assume a big ass story up here where there is none. The only story is he didn't answer the phone. He didn't say these 3 words. Very neutral. But a brain will take those facts and weave a graphic novel pain out of it, right? They'll assume these neutral things mean our love is lost and I'll be alone forever. All right. We want to watch our brains because this is what they do. So this is what her brain is telling her. This is a problem. That's what it's decided is true. And so I come in and I question what they've decided is true. Because when you don't question it, when you just assume it is a problem, when all your girlfriends get together and they're like, that's such a problem, how do we fix it? They're going to go try to help you fix it where you don't solve it. When she believes this is a problem, she feels worried. Whenever we feel worried, our behavior has to match that emotion. That's what emotions are. They are the drivers of our behavior. So when we feel worried, this is what we do. We start an argument. We try to force people to share their feelings, which is very creepy and not enjoyable. She tells him he has to answer the phone. He has to say, I love you 3 times a day. It's starting to feel like school. Very not sexy, right? We don't connect. We don't take ownership for her feelings here. She blames him for how she feels. And so the only result is she becomes the problem. She creates her problem. She perpetuates it, right? And so I underlined all the parts where she has control. This part, she has no control, but she's going there to try to force the change in her action, right? Her thinking, her trying to force him is the real source of her worriedness, the real source of her pain, her unnecessary pain. So it's not originating from him and what he's doing. And this is what I have to show everyone I work with. And I have someone show me because I have a brain, right? I can see it for other people, but not for myself. But he's just another human, imperfect, existing on this planet. He's got his own shit going on in his mind. We have no idea what he's thinking or feeling, but she's using him as this punching bag, right? In order to try to feel better, in order to force and manipulate so she can feel less worried. This is not kind, not to a stranger or a friend or a partner, right? And we need to start taking ownership for this. Because yes, even though this is a patriarchy, women have had it bad. Women aren't going to make it better if we keep blaming our problems on anyone or anything. And not just women. Men do this too. So this feels terrible. I want you guys to see that. What the husband does or says is neutral. Husbands aren't responsible for how we feel. No one is. We are. So in this scenario, she's choosing to create this worry. She's choosing to create disconnection and defensiveness. Had she known how to spot where problems actually originate, she would have chosen to think and feel differently here, right? When she feels worried, everything is serious and scary and needs to be solved quickly or else doom. But had she chosen to feel connected instead, she probably would have been way more inclined to lean in with her husband, to understand him and support him and get curious, right? And not be in attack and control mode. When people feel attacked or wrongly blamed or unsafe or judged, they will not, I repeat, they will not be open to connect and communicate with you. That door is shut, and it makes sense why. Have you ever felt judged or controlled? Did you want to go open your heart up to that person? Absolutely not. That sounds terrible and scary. So if you're doing it to someone or a dog, they will not want to open up and feel safe around you. So in order to connect and communicate with people, you have to check yourself. You have to ask, am I coming at them from a place of judgment, defensiveness, and blame? Or am I coming to them bringing acceptance, understanding, and support, right? Being responsible for how I feel ahead of time. There is a huge emotional difference there. When we don't make other people responsible for how we feel, it's totally safe for them to come to us, to open up, tell the truth. And we don't have to use archaic methods of torture and control in order to be told the truth, right? We don't need potions. We don't need to cut fingers off. It's just so easy. It's so intimate. It's so lovely. Once you experience it for yourself, you will know what I mean. They will say, yeah, like let's say we're going to look at this new model and go through it, but say she went up to him and said, this isn't a problem, right? Sure, he did those things. Maybe it's a little unusual and off brand, but she's not going to make it a problem because she's like, well, he's his own person, right? He's responsible for himself and I'm responsible for me. So she might get curious. She might be like, well, what's up? Like, how are you? And just be curious without this agenda to feel better, right? Because it's not his job. And he might be like, oh man, yeah, yesterday was really tough. I'm really feeling the weight from my job. I'm feeling stress from being a new dad, and I'm really in my head, and I felt kind of scared lately, right? We don't know. We have no idea. But now we have an opportunity to connect and support each other. Now we aren't chasing our tails in a cycle of emotional childhood, and we can work together again and move forward because we're both being adults. Okay, so let's look at the new and improved model. It's the same circumstance. Nothing has changed in reality, right? Because that's always neutral. But the way we're thinking about it has changed. It's not a problem. Oh, he didn't do that? Okay, now what? Do I want to sit and worry about it and spin out and indulge in confusion? Or do I want to assure myself, soothe myself, let myself know, hey, nothing has gone wrong. We got us. Now let's go see if we can help someone else, right? We aren't self-focused anymore. We're like, I got you, you got me. That's what we're saying to ourselves. It's good. And now we can go connect with other people, which is the most rewarding part of being alive. And so when she is self-assured, when she goes to her partner responsible for her emotions, she gets curious. She approaches with love. She asks a lot of questions that aren't attacking and judgmental. And they're not assuming what he's believing. They're not blaming him or judging him. They're just, hey, what's really going on with you? You don't have to tell me unless you want to, right? So that creates connection. That creates effective communication. So it's the same circumstance, but we've chosen to go to the real source of the problem and make some changes there. That's where the rest is easy. The rest just plays itself out. It's fluid. It's amazing. Your ability to communicate with others will feel really difficult if you haven't learned how to take responsibility for your thoughts. Okay? Because your ability to connect with others is entirely based on your ability to connect with you. And you need to know it, but you are in a relationship with you, my friend. How is that relationship going? My guess is if you're feeling any disconnection from others, it's because you are disconnected from yourself right now. Okay, so we'll look at it a little further before we wrap up. I made a little picture. And this is the 4 layers of communication. So the last thing I'm going to offer you today for the basics is this. We have to go through 4 layers, 4 walls, barricades, whatever you want to call it, whenever we communicate with anyone, right? Even ourselves. And most of us never make it past the first barrier because we have not learned how to listen and understand ourselves. And that is tragic. This is something I'm determined to help fix because if people can communicate with themselves, they can communicate with others, 90% of the world's problems go away, okay? This is really miraculous stuff here. So we've got what you mean. This is the first layer. You've got what you actually say, the words you say. There's going to be a discrepancy between every barrier. What you mean, what you say, what they hear you say, and what they make that mean. Okay? Let that settle in for just a second. What you mean, what you say, what they hear, what they make that mean. You don't even know what you mean when you're telling someone else they need to change. You don't know what you mean. If you did, you wouldn't be doing it. Okay? What you mean to say when you're trying to control and change someone else is, I'm scared. I have no idea what to do here. I feel super lost. This is my last cry for some semblance of control over my life. If you don't know that that's what you mean, the rest is just blocked, 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 pissed off, disconnected. Okay? But what you think you mean is, I need you to make me feel better. I need you to change so we can be connected. What you say is, tell me you love me, right? Answer your phone or else. What a lovely comment to say to your loved ones. You become a big no fun bully. Bullies aren't fun. Okay? So what they hear when you're trying to control them is, wow, you're kind of a jerk. You're manipulative. You're not coming off cute right now. And what they make that mean is, I'm not safe in this relationship. I don't feel supported. This relationship sucks. Maybe I should leave. Okay? This is what people are out here creating. Right? And this can all be avoided. Please avoid this. We don't have time. We need you. We need your brain to be functioning. This is the cause of a dysfunctioning brain. Okay? Because when you know what you mean and why, always, exactly how to say what you mean so clearly that it can't be misunderstood, that is all it takes for someone you love to finally hear you, to finally understand what you mean. I cannot tell you how often my husband and I are like, okay, this is what I meant. This is what I heard you say, right? We'll just go through it. I'll be like, okay, this is what I heard you say. And they'll be like, oh, no, that's not what I meant, right? We'll do that as long as it takes until we have clear access to connection. Doing this, having that uncomfortable conversation often, like, oh, miscommunication. Okay, that's what you heard. Oh, I get it. I get why you would feel that if that's what you thought I meant. This is what I actually meant, right? It takes effort. It takes willingness to support and hear and understand someone else. So it only takes one person, right, in a relationship to decide to learn this, to decide to learn how to do this in order to completely transform that relationship into the most intimate, rewarding, and connected container you have in your life. Okay, this is what we want. We need these containers if we want to go do cool shit. If we want to feel good and be at peace and then go kick ass in life, we need these containers. We need some connections. We need human connection, my friends. We need it. And when we're operating like this with the people we love the most, that we're supposed to be the closest with, we're locking ourselves away on an island of pain and disconnection. Okay, this is available to you, right? Just like my dog's ideal, perfect behavior was available to me, but I didn't see it. I was up here blaming, being a victim, not willing to see where I might be the problem. So let's just bypass that. It's totally cool to be the problem, man. When you're the problem, you can fix it. Okay. So here's the last thing I want to say. All people capable of unconditional love, of opening up after years of being closed off, of learning how to trust anyone again, right? All people are capable of transforming disconnection into connection, every single one. Okay? That is what I have for you today. Any questions? Let me just check the chat here. I saw a couple people earlier. No questions right here, but if you're watching the replay and you have a question or a specific circumstance you might be working through where you're not really getting how this applies, please reach out. You can find me on Instagram or on my website. I want to walk you through this. I want you to understand it better. I want to help you fix any communication problem you might have, okay? And speaking of, if you have been waiting and hoping for someone to come around finally and tell you exactly how to solve these problems, these little irking problems in your life, how to make them all easy, how to lay the answers out for you, like the dog trainers laid mine out for me, then you are in luck. Okay. That is exactly how I serve my one-on-one clients. I have some spots open right now. It won't stay that way forever. So I want you guys to jump on this for the people that are willing and able to invest their time and money into their own ultimate transformation, right? This is available to you. And I want to offer that it will book up. So I only want them to be taken by people who are all in, who have a future they see, who are ready to go and get started on this work. If you understood what I was talking about today, then I'm talking to you. You are ready for this. So anyone that's been feeling frustrated, disconnected, confused for a very long time, if you have been blaming how you feel on things like your job, your partner, your past, and you want all of that to change, if you want to feel empowered and in control and super confident, then this work was created for you. I created my program for you personally. I want to invite you to it. I wish I had this level of education, support, and guidance that my clients get 10 years ago, right? My emotional life was falling apart. I felt disconnected from about everything. I was in my last straw of throwing in the towel, and I had to take the long route, right? Taking this route shaves off about 5 years of struggling, right? It still takes time. I give it about 6 months, but you can shave off all the error, all the mistakes that your brain will make when you're trying to do it alone. So whether you are in mild discomfort in your life or in excruciating emotional pain, it does not matter. The answers are all the same and they're all available to you. So my one-on-one package right now includes an educational program. This is the bulk of the value. But it also includes the coaching where you get to apply what you learn and put it into practice with my professional certified guidance, right? I'm becoming a Houdini at this. I'm not going to lie. I love to do it. So in 6 months, you will learn how to reverse your brain's automatic ways of thinking in shitty ways, feeling in shitty ways that create unwanted disconnection, unwanted results. And you will learn how to become an emotional adult, how to trust and support yourself again so you can do that for other people you want to, and how to feel connected to your presence, your purpose, your future, your clarity, all the things that create a future of your wildest dreams. So the educational portion of this package alone is worth twice the cost of my program. So you would be getting this at a literal steal. That is how valuable this information is, because you also get the coaching. And I think that's the most important part, because it's where we see where you are and are not understanding the concepts. Okay, you guys, your brain is smart. It will get what I'm saying. It'll be like, oh, yeah. But when it comes to applying these concepts, there are going to be places you're not getting it. And that is where we need to work together, because without that coaching, our intellectual brain will once again just decide we know everything, we're not the problem, we're perfect, and it'll turn it around and continue to not integrate these amazing tools. You will continue to feel disconnected, spin and blame and confusion. We don't want that. So on our own, we do not have the equipment in here yet. We got to buy it. We got to install it to spot where we are the problem. Okay. It's so important we have someone who is trained, who can do this for us, because our friends do a terrible job. They're going to agree with everything we say. They're going to just try to make us feel better, and they won't know how to actually do that. They don't actually help in that way. They are so lovely and fun, but they are not trained to help us with this stuff, because the equipment we do have is wired to keep us away from ever spotting where it's our responsibility. It is literally hyper focused on things outside of us being a threat. That is its job. That's totally okay. But you need to learn how your brain will do this so you can make sure you're not blaming people and you're starting to take that responsibility back instead. All right, I promise you, paying for help and dismantling this trash mindset that we're just automatically installed with is the smartest thing you can do, right? It's the smartest thing you can do for your relationships. That alone is enough. It's the smartest thing you could do for your finances. If you want things in life, if you're like sitting there like, oh, that would be nice, and you're not doing something about it, I want to offer to you that this is your first step, right? If you want big things, if you want growth, if you want emotional mastery, this is what will give it to you, right? This is what teaches you how to create your future, all the little details of it. And it is worth the cost because the other things you spend your money and time on are not going to return the same result, right? They're just going to reinforce what your brain is already doing, which is a bunch of boo hockey. So, smart investment, because again, how you think is the source of every problem. And if you don't change the way you think, your problems are not going anywhere. They will be staying for the long haul. But you are what controls how you think in each and every moment. So if you invest in you, smartest thing your beautiful self could ever do, hey, now we have some skin in the game. Now we can do something about it. If you keep trying to control life outside of you, you are racking up a very expensive electricity bill in a bunch of houses that you don't even live in. I want you to stop wasting your money and your time here. Okay. You're using your energy in the wrong places. You're wasting your valuable effort and focus that could be spent on so many more productive endeavors, like building your future, like creating wealth if you want that, financial freedom, management of your time, just all the benefits you can reap from creating this incredible connection with yourself. So I want you to enjoy your life. Like, I mean, enjoy the fuck out of your life, not just mediocre, half-ass it. Okay. I want you to feel in charge. I want you to have what you want. I want you to have what I have, what I've created for myself. So I can teach you exactly how to do that. My program teaches you how to become an emotional adult, to manage your brain, to master your emotions. It lays out your future so what you want becomes inevitable. Okay. It's very simple. The answers are here. I want to make sure you aren't doing what I did for 7 years and thinking you have tried everything, right? It's hopeless. There's nothing left for me to do to change my circumstances. Everything is left because you've been trying to solve the problem in the wrong place. Okay. So the only reason you think that, and I'm getting tired, you guys, this is a long call. Let me say that again. The only reason you think that right now is not a good time is because you spent years of your life trying to solve for problems in places that the problem doesn't exist. Okay? I know exactly where your problems exist and how to solve them. Okay? So why wouldn't you come and learn about all the answers? Why not? You've been waiting for them. So if you're tired, if you're frustrated, if you're feeling lost, and you have been for a really long time, I know how awful that experience is. I have been there. And it does not have to stay that way. I don't want it to stay that way for you. I know you don't want it to stay that way. So it can shift. It will shift and transform. I guarantee it. You just have to allow me to help you. You have to let me walk you through that. And it would be my honor. I'm going to be a friend. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to go gentle on you, right? It's not going to be an hour of me saying, it's your fault. No, this will be so pleasurable, easy, rewarding, relieving. And so I invite you to get the answers you came for. And whenever you're ready, go book that consult on aliciaturnercoaching.com. And we will start your intake process. We'll get you ready to step into a better feeling future, to step into that version of yourself that is so connected, that is so connected with others in a rewarding and incredible, intimate way. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, and I will see you next month. All right, bye.